On March 10, 1959, Chinese soldiers poured into Tibet. China says it was liberating the Himalayan country it had ruled since 1951. But it was also suppressing protests against Chinese authority, which had grown and were becoming more violent. Tens of thousands of Tibetans were reported to have been killed. Monasteries were destroyed. Tibet's spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, was forced into exile in India, where he remains. Every March 10th since then, demonstrations have been held around the world in support of Tibetan independence.
It's an occasion for mourning. The anniversary activities represent the anger and resentment of the Tibetans against 6 decades of political suppression. They have been denying their religious, cultural, and language rights.
China has placed restrictions on foreigners, including journalists, visiting Tibet.
When you go back to those 60 years ago, the CIA was actually involved in training people, radio operatives, who were dropped back into Tibet to kind of stir up trouble. So from the Chinese perspective, they don't look on they don't see that foreigners are necessarily bringing gifts. They kind of regard it as something that only means trouble and probably more headaches for Beijing.
China says it's held sovereignty over Tibet for centuries. It describes the Dalai Lama as a separatist. Supporters of the Dalai Lama say he doesn't want independence, just more autonomy for Tibet.
What we're seeing now is just a different kind of repression, making sure that Tibetans can't communicate with each other, can't protest, this sort of suffocating atmosphere.
On Sunday, the streets of Tibet may stay quiet, while demands for Tibetan independence are heard around the world. Rob Matheson, Al Jazeera.